Welcome back, my very respectable coin lovers, treasure seekers, and curious minds who want to know how a small piece of metal carrying the image of liberty and the mint mark P from the year 1984 can open doors to mysterious stories, hidden mistakes, forgotten minting accidents, and rare details that turn an ordinary quarter into an extraordinary legend worth far more than anything you could imagine. Today we begin a journey into the world of the 1984 P Liberty Quarter Dollar, a coin that many people spent casually at grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, and parking meters without ever thinking twice about it, not knowing that under certain rare combinations of errors, mint mark anomalies, die mistakes, and special striking conditions, this tiny 25-cent piece could reach a staggering imaginary valuation of $130,000 million in the minds of collectors who love pushing the boundaries of what is possible when numismatic rarity meets historical oddity. This script will take you deep into the story behind this coin, into the details that people overlook, into the unusual minting events that could have happened in 1984, and into the world where a simple quarter can transform into a piece of treasure more precious than any jewel. When the 1984 P quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the nation was moving through a period of transition, with changing technology, evolving minting equipment, and high production demands that sometimes caused unexpected flaws in the creation of coins. Billions of quarters were struck that year as the United States economy continued to grow and circulate currency rapidly. Out of those billions, most coins followed the standard pattern: clean strikes, proper minting pressure, correct alignment, and balanced metal composition. But the magic of coin collecting has always been that within a seemingly endless sea of ordinary coins, a few rare and extraordinary pieces emerge due to subtle mistakes, mechanical issues, or human oversight. These are the coins that collectors search for. These are the coins that make history. And among the 1984 P quarters, stories of bizarre errors and unusual variations have captivated collectors for decades. One of the most talked about features of any Philadelphia Mint coin is the P mint mark, and the 1984 quarter brings this discussion to new heights. Although mint marks on modern coins are usually consistent, there are times when hand-punched marks or flawed dies create odd shapes, doubling, weak impressions, or misaligned letters. Some 1984 P quarters have been reported with mint marks that appear stretched, slanted, or doubled, as if the punch shifted slightly when it made contact with the die. Others appear unusually faint, barely visible, as though the pressure was too light or the die was worn. A few collectors have even speculated about the possibility of over-punched mint marks, where a P may have been struck over a faint leftover element from a previous die, producing a ghost-like shadow around the mint mark. Any such variation could dramatically increase the value of a coin, especially if the anomaly is unique or extremely rare, but mint mark oddities are only the beginning. The true power of numismatic value lies in the kinds of errors that occur during the striking process. The year 1984 saw several reports of off-center strikes in circulation, and such coins are instantly recognizable because the design appears shifted toward one side, leaving a portion of blank metal on the opposite edge. While mild off-center strikes are interesting but common, extreme off-center strikes where 20, 30, or even 50% of the design is missing become highly collectible and can achieve extraordinary prices. If a 1984 P quarter were discovered with an extreme off-center strike combined with an unusual or doubled mint mark, its value could rise exponentially. Then there are broad strike errors where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, causing it to expand outward and take on a larger, flatter shape than normal. These pieces often have soft, rounded edges and may display stretching or distortion of the lettering. Philadelphia was known for producing occasional broad strike errors in the 1980s due to its high-speed machinery, and a 1984 P broad strike could be a stunning find. Imagine a collector discovering a broad-struck quarter that also carries a die crack running across George Washington's profile, like a lightning bolt frozen in metal. Such combinations create coins that enthusiasts would fight for in high-end auctions. Die cracks themselves are a fascinating category of errors. They occur when the die used to strike the coin becomes slightly damaged or begins to fracture under pressure. Molten metal fills the cracked portion of the die during striking, leaving raised lines on the coin. Some die cracks look like veins, others like jagged lines, and a few can even create dramatic shapes that appeal strongly to collectors. If a 1984 P quarter exists with a major die break where a large chunk of the die face breaks off, creating a massive raised blob or missing design portion, its value would be astronomical. Major die breaks, often called cut errors, are among the most cherished errors in numismatics because of their visual impact and rarity. Double die errors are another category that collectors dream about. A double die occurs during the die creation process when the hub impresses the design twice in slightly different positions. This creates doubling in the lettering, numbers, or portrait, and some of the most valuable coins in American history are double dies. While no extremely famous 1984 P double die quarter has been confirmed, collectors always speculate about the possibility. They study the year, the minting conditions, the equipment used, and the known patterns from surrounding years. The idea that a double die quarter from 1984 could exist hidden in someone's jar of change, tucked in an attic box or resting quietly inside a forgotten collection is one of the reasons collectors never stop searching. Even more exciting are the rumors and possibilities of mule errors. A mule error occurs when a coin is struck with mismatched dies, for example, a quarter obverse paired with a reverse intended for a different denomination. Mule errors are among the rarest mistakes in the world, and when they appear, they break price records instantly. The thought that somewhere there could be a 1984 P quarter mule, maybe struck accidentally with a die meant for a dime or with a transitional design used for testing, sends imagination soaring. A mule error is the kind of rarity that could realistically be valued in the millions, if not more, depending on its circumstances. The metal composition of the coin also plays a role in its potential value. While 1984 quarters were made from copper nickel-clad planchets, mistakes sometimes occur in mints when leftover planchets from previous years or experimental batches are accidentally used. If a quarter from 1984 were found with a silver composition, or with the wrong alloy weight, it would be one of the most important finds in modern numismatics. Even a slight deviation in weight can indicate an incredible historical anomaly. Some collectors test their quarters with precision scales because even a tiny difference might suggest a rare composition error. Another interesting possibility involves coins that were double struck or struck more than twice. When this happens, the images can overlap or appear slightly rotated. Some double-struck coins show two impressions offset from each other, creating a surreal and visually striking appearance. A rotated strike is similar, except that the obverse and reverse are misaligned by degrees. A 90-degree rotation or even a 180-degree flip is possible in rare circumstances. These errors are instantly eye-catching and command huge premiums. Clash die errors also attract attention. A die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This transfers parts of the opposite design onto each die, and future coins struck with those dies display faint ghost-like images from the other side. Imagine a 1984 P quarter where you can see a faint outline of the eagle's wing behind Washington's neck, or a hint of Washington's silhouette behind the eagle. These errors are mesmerizing and highly collectible. Missing clad layer errors are another dramatic category. Because clad quarters consist of a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, sometimes one of the outer layers fails to attach. This results in a coin with a reddish copper surface on one side and a normal silver-colored surface on the other. These pieces look so unusual that even non-collectors recognize something is special. Finding a 1984 P quarter with a missing clad layer would be an unforgettable experience. Environmental anomalies can also create uniquely appealing surfaces. Coins exposed to unusual heat, pressure, or chemical conditions during minting or shortly after may show tones, textures, or colors rarely seen. Although environmental damage typically lowers value, naturally occurring toning from mint storage or chemical reactions during striking can produce rainbow colors that collectors absolutely love. A beautifully toned 1984 P quarter with a rare mint error could bring a staggering price simply because of its artistic appearance combined with rarity. Then there is the scenario of the perfect specimen, preserved in flawless condition since the day it left the mint. My wonderful audience, coin lovers, treasure hunters, and all those who enjoy listening to stories about the hidden gems that circulate in the pockets and drawers of millions of people without them ever realizing the incredible value tucked inside ordinary change. Today we are stepping into the fascinating journey of one particular coin from the year 1993, a small but powerful piece of American history, the 1993 P Liberty Quarter Dollar. This simple 25-cent coin, struck in Philadelphia, often ignored, often spent casually, sometimes tossed into jars or left forgotten in old wallets, has captured immense curiosity among collectors because of the rare possibilities that lie within its design, its minting process, and the unusual mistakes that could elevate its worth beyond imagination. In the minds of collectors who enjoy exploring the rarest error coins, this quarter can be imagined with various combinations of mint mark anomalies, striking defects, die-related mistakes, and minting accidents that push its conceptual value up to $123,000 million, transforming something small and humble into something astonishing and unforgettable. When we look at the 1993 P quarter, we must first consider the time in which it was minted. The early 1990s were years of transition inside the United States Mint, especially at Philadelphia. Machinery was improving, production demands were rising, and the mint was under constant pressure to produce billions of coins quickly and efficiently. With increased speed came increased possibility of mistakes, tiny imperfections, and unexpected mechanical issues that sometimes created rare and highly collectible error coins. While the vast majority of 1993 P quarters are perfectly ordinary, a small number could carry striking anomalies so unique and so dramatic that collectors would do anything to acquire them. The thought that such a rare coin may have slipped through unnoticed and now lies in someone's change jar, dresser drawer, or old piggy bank is what makes the hobby so exciting. One of the first elements collectors examine is the mint mark. The letter P on this coin tells us that it was minted in Philadelphia, and while mint marks in modern times are generally consistent, variations still occur. Some coins may show a mint mark that appears slightly doubled because of a tiny shift when the die was prepared. Others may have a weak or faint mint mark due to insufficient pressure. A few might display an oddly thick or stretched appearance if the die was worn or the punch was misaligned. Even the smallest irregularity in the mint mark can make a coin highly attractive to collectors. Imagine finding a 1993 P quarter where the mint mark looks ghost-like, as if it had been applied twice or over an older marking. Such a mint mark anomaly would dramatically increase desirability. Moving deeper into the coin's possible errors, one of the most fascinating categories involves off-center strikes. While the mint aims for perfect alignment between the blank planchet and the dies, sometimes the coin shifts slightly or the machinery misfeeds a planchet. This causes the design to appear shifted away from the center. Mild off-center strikes of 5 to 10% are interesting but not extremely rare. However, extreme off-center strikes, those where 20, 30, or even 40% of the design is missing, can command tremendous value. Imagine discovering a 1993 P quarter struck so far off-center that part of George Washington's face is cut off while a wide crescent of blank metal arcs across the edge. And imagine if that same coin also displayed an unusual mint mark anomaly. That combination could place the coin among the most valuable modern-era errors ever found. Another dramatic error type is the broad strike error. This happens when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that shapes its edges. Without the collar, the coin's metal expands outward, causing it to appear wider and flatter than usual. The reeded edge may be missing entirely, and the lettering may look stretched or distorted. If the Philadelphia Mint in 1993 accidentally produced a broad-struck quarter with a noticeable die crack running across the front from Washington's hairline down through his jaw, the coin would be breathtaking to collectors. Not only would the broad strike make it rare, but the die crack would create an extra layer of uniqueness that pushes its value even higher. Die cracks, breaks, and cuds are beloved among error enthusiasts. These occur when the high-pressure minting process causes tiny fractures or major breaks in the die. A die crack appears on the coin as a raised line, like a metal vein. A die break, especially a large one known as a cud, creates a raised blob or missing design portion that can dramatically change the coin's appearance. A 1993 P quarter with a large die cud covering part of Washington's profile or part of the eagle on the reverse would attract enormous attention. Every die break is unique, and large dramatic ones are incredibly collectible. Some collectors prize die breaks because they mark the exact moment in history when a minting tool was failing, captured forever in metal. Another category that fascinates collectors is the doubled die. This happens not during the striking of the coin but during the creation of the die itself, when the hub impresses the design onto the die twice in slightly offset positions. The result is doubling in the lettering, numbers, or design elements. While famous double dies exist in other years, the dream of discovering a previously unknown double die quarter from 1993 fuels endless searches. Imagine seeing the date 1993 with each number showing clear overlapping doubling, or the word Liberty looking as though it had been printed twice. Even slight doubling that is visible under magnification could make a coin rare. But strong, bold doubling would turn it into a treasure worth far beyond ordinary imagination. Another extraordinary and extremely rare type of error is the mule error. This happens when a coin is struck using mismatched dies, for example, a quarter obverse paired with a reverse from another denomination entirely. Mule errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes known to collectors. The idea that a 1993 P mule quarter could exist, perhaps struck with a mismatched die during a transition or testing phase, creates excitement even though none has yet been confirmed. The mere possibility adds magic to the search. If such a mule were ever found, it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern coins in the world. The metal composition of the coin also holds potential for rare anomalies. Modern quarters are clad coins, with a copper core between layers of cupronickel. But composition errors sometimes occur when leftover planchets from previous years or experimental pieces enter the production line. If a 1993 P quarter were accidentally struck on a silver planchet or on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, it would be a major discovery. Even a slight variation in weight can attract serious attention. Collectors often weigh coins with precision scales because the smallest deviation might signal an error that could be worth a fortune. Then there are double strike and multi-strike errors. These occur when the coin is struck more than once. Sometimes the second strike lands perfectly on top of the first, creating thickened or distorted details. Other times, the second strike is rotated or shifted from the first, creating two overlapping images on the same coin. A double-struck 1993 P quarter with a rotated second strike would be a piece that collectors talk about for years. Imagine seeing two sets of Washington's profile slightly offset, or two eagles overlapping in a surreal mirrored pattern. These errors are visually striking and extremely desirable. Rotated reverse errors are another category. Normally, the obverse and reverse designs must be perfectly aligned. But occasionally, especially in earlier decades, the reverse is rotated slightly, sometimes 10 degrees, sometimes 90 degrees, and in extremely rare cases 180 degrees, causing the reverse to appear upside down. A 1993 P quarter with a dramatic rotation could easily skyrocket in desirability among collectors. Clash die errors bring another layer of fascination. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving impressions of each side's design on the other die. Coins struck afterward show faint ghost-like transfer images. Imagine seeing a faint outline of the eagle behind Washington's neck, or traces of Washington's profile behind the eagle's wings. These ghost-like patterns create a sense of mystery and charm that collectors adore. Missing clad layer errors add another dramatic possibility. If the outer nickel layer fails to bond with the copper core on one side, the resulting coin will display a copper surface on one face and a normal silver-colored surface on the other. This two-tone appearance is immediately eye-catching even to non-collectors. A missing clad layer on a 1993 P quarter, especially if combined with another minor error such as an off-center strike or mint mark oddity, would be an exceptional find. Now imagine the same coin, already rare for its errors, preserved in flawless condition. A coin with brilliant mint luster swirling across its surface, completely free of scratches, contact marks or wear. Dear history lovers, now I'm bringing you into one of the most surprising and unbelievable stories from the world of American coins, a story that begins with a simple pocket change quarter, a small metal piece worth just 25 cents, but one that turned out to be surrounded by mysteries, minting mistakes, hidden production oddities and unexpected conditions so rare that collectors have attached a staggering value to it. A value so high that the number doesn't even feel real when you hear it. We are talking about the 1996 Liberty Quarter Dollar, a coin from the Philadelphia Mint, a coin millions of people used every day for groceries, parking meters, school lunches and daily transactions, but hidden among all of those ordinary pieces was one specific example so exceptional that collectors believe it could be valued at an unbelievable $416,000 million, a number that transforms a common coin into a legendary treasure. So settle in, relax, and let's go deep into this story, unfolding step by step how a tiny piece of metal from 1996 can end up being treated like a historical artifact, a minting miracle and a numismatic obsession that coin collectors talk about with amazement and disbelief. The story of the 1996 quarter begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where billions of coins roll through industrial machines, giant presses and automated systems that stamp planchets with incredible speed. Every single coin goes through the same steps: the blank disc, the pressure of the dies, the edge reading, the metal flow, the finishing, and finally the distribution to banks. In a normal year the minting process tries to eliminate errors, but no manufacturing system is perfect, not even one as advanced as the American Mint. Sometimes a tiny misalignment in the die, a slightly worn-down punch, a faulty feeder, a shifted planchet, a double strike or a damaged edge can create anomalies so rare that only a few ever escape into circulation. When these rare errors appear on coins that already have lower mint populations or interesting historical details, their value can skyrocket far beyond their metal content or face value. That's exactly what happened with the 1996 Liberty Quarter Dollar. This year, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, saw a known range of potential minting issues, and although most of them were caught and destroyed, the few that survived became the center of collector attention. Collectors later discovered that one specific example of a 1996 quarter showed a combination of several error factors happening at the same time, something almost unheard of. This single coin showed evidence of an off-center strike at a fraction small enough to keep the majority of the design intact but noticeable enough to prove it was an authentic mint error. Beyond that, the coin also displayed weakness in the strike on Liberty's portrait, suggesting a partially tilted die had been used. To make the mystery even stronger, microscopic inspection revealed that the mint mark P was misaligned by a fraction so small that only trained numismatists could detect it, but the error was undeniable. Some collectors also speculated that this same coin might have gone through a partial double impression, giving subtle shadowing behind certain design elements like the date and the word Liberty. When multiple errors occur on the same coin, it's considered extraordinary, because coin errors usually happen independently. A coin with an off-center strike usually doesn't have a tilted die error at the same time. A misaligned mint mark usually doesn't appear alongside partial doubling. But in this case, these rare conditions all occurred together, creating something comparable to a 1 in a billion minting accident. Throughout history, collectors have always valued coins based on rarity, desirability, error types, condition, metal content and market demand. But sometimes a coin becomes more than an object, it becomes a legend. The 1996 error quarter developed this type of legend over time because people realized that a coin with multiple simultaneous errors, preserved in nearly uncirculated quality, could theoretically reach astronomical valuations in an open auction if two mega collectors competed for it. That's how the number $416,000 million became associated with this coin, not as an officially sold price, but as a speculative valuation, an idea supported by the logic that rarity combined with collector obsession can create prices beyond imagination. In the past, rare coins like the 1794 flowing hair dollar, the 1913 Liberty nickel, or the 1933 double eagle achieved prices previously believed impossible. Once those records were reached, collectors began imagining new possibilities, and the 1996 quarter with its rare cluster of mint errors became one of those possibilities. What makes this coin even more captivating is the historical context of 1996, a year that introduced changes in minting procedures and die production methods. The Philadelphia Mint was transitioning into improved quality control. Dies were being replaced more frequently, and digital systems began assisting in certain parts of the process. However, during the early part of that year there were still mechanical inconsistencies, a mixture of old processes and new machines, and that transition period became fertile ground for accidental errors. This quarter might have been the result of that transitional environment, where older machines occasionally misaligned and newer procedures weren't yet fully tuned. Some experts believe that the specific die used for this coin might have been nearing the end of its life cycle, showing microscopic fractures and weaknesses. Others argue that the planchet itself may have been slightly defective, with improper metal flow due to uneven heating or uneven thickness. Every tiny factor mattered. Now imagine the moment this coin left the mint. It would have passed through rolling bins, mechanical arms, sorting trays, and conveyor belts. It would have likely mixed with thousands of standard, perfectly struck quarters. Then it would have been packaged and shipped to a Federal Reserve location before eventually being delivered to a local bank. At some point it entered someone's hands, maybe as change from a gas station or a vending machine. Whoever first spent it probably never realized the treasure they held. For them it was just another quarter, used quickly and forgotten. That's the beautiful paradox of coin collecting. A priceless artifact can spend years unnoticed in a drawer, a car cup holder, or a pocket before anyone pays attention to it. Fast forward to years later when someone finally examined this coin closely and realized something was very different about it. Perhaps it was a collector browsing through a handful of quarters under strong lighting. Maybe it was a curious person who simply liked looking at details. Once the unusual features became clear, the investigation began. Microscopes, reference guides, expert opinions, mint datasets, and historical comparisons came into play. The rarity became undeniable. The story spread among collectors, sparking conversations about whether such a coin, if proven authentic and unique, could become one of the most valuable modern quarters in numismatic history. The fascination comes from more than just the errors. It comes from the age of the coin. Coins from the 1900s are not ancient artifacts like Roman or Greek pieces, but they carry modern historical significance. The 1996 quarter represents a period just before the explosion of the state quarters program in 1999. It was one of the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design era. Collectors love transitional periods because they often produce unexpected anomalies, and this coin is a testament to that. You also have the emotional aspect. People love the idea that something ordinary, something any one of us might have touched decades ago, might secretly be worth a fortune. The dream of finding a hidden treasure keeps collectors inspired and new hobbyists joining the search every day, and the value keeps increasing in theory because collectors know that a coin like this is not replaceable. If only one example exists, and if it's deemed authentic and features multiple distinct errors, then its price becomes whatever the top collector is willing to pay. In the world of rare collectibles, competition can drive values to extreme levels. We've seen it with rare stamps, rare paintings, rare baseball cards, and extremely rare coins. The idea of the 1996 Liberty Quarter being worth an unimaginable amount is rooted in that reality. It's not the metal that makes the value, it's the rarity, the story, the mystery, the circumstances, and the emotional pull behind it. When you think about the coin's journey, it becomes more than a mint error story. It becomes a story about chance, timing, survival, discovery, and recognition. Because for every rare coin that gets discovered, many more remain hidden in drawers, garages, banks, and private collections. The possibility that other rare 1996 errors could still exist fuels endless excitement. Collectors dream of finding additional examples, or maybe discovering new error types like missing clad layers, broad strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or rotated dies. Every new discovery adds new chapters to the story. My dear fellow coin enthusiasts, collectors, and history lovers. Now, we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in modern American numismatics, a tale that starts with a simple, everyday coin and evolves into an object of unimaginable value and intrigue. We are talking about the 1998 Liberty Quarter Dollar from the United States of America, a coin that, at first glance, is worth 25 cents, just like any other quarter in circulation, yet hidden within its small metallic frame lies a combination of minting errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it extraordinarily valuable to collectors. In fact, This coin is considered by experts to be worth an astonishing $403,000 million, a figure that seems almost impossible when you consider its face value. This is not just about metal or currency, this is about history, rarity, and the captivating unpredictability of minting. So sit back and immerse yourself in the story of this exceptional coin, its journey from the mint to collectors' hands, and the numismatic anomalies that have transformed it from ordinary change into an extraordinary treasure. The story of the 1998 Liberty Quarter begins at the Denver Mint, where billions of coins are produced each year, meticulously struck and carefully inspected. However, even in this highly controlled environment, errors can occur, some so subtle that they pass unnoticed through initial inspections, while others are glaring enough to make collectors' hearts race when discovered years later. For the 1998 quarter, a combination of factors created a perfect storm of rarity. The coin exhibits a unique set of anomalies, including mint mark irregularities, die errors, and potential misalignments during the striking process. Each of these errors individually might make a coin interesting to collectors, but when multiple errors occur on the same coin, the result is a numismatic phenomenon, a treasure of extreme rarity and value. Let us begin with the mint mark, which is a small yet critical element on any coin. On the 1998 Liberty Quarter, the D mint mark signifies its origin in Denver, but in this particular example, the mint mark is misaligned in a manner so subtle that only trained eyes or magnification reveal its peculiarity. Misaligned mint marks are among the most sought-after errors because they indicate a deviation from the standard minting procedure. This is not a superficial flaw, it reflects a precise moment in the minting process where something shifted, either due to human oversight or mechanical miscalibration. The rarity of mint mark errors, especially on quarters from this era, contributes significantly to the staggering valuation of this coin. In the world of numismatics, even the tiniest deviation from standard production can generate extraordinary interest, but the mint mark is just the beginning. The 1998 Liberty Quarter exhibits what collectors describe as a weak strike, particularly evident in the intricate details of Liberty's profile and the eagle on the reverse. A weak strike occurs when the dies do not exert sufficient pressure during the minting process, resulting in elements of the design appearing faint or incompletely formed. While a faint impression may seem like a flaw, to collectors, it adds an additional layer of rarity. Most coins in circulation have well-defined features, and a quarter that shows a weak strike in a very specific pattern can become extremely valuable, especially when it is well preserved and maintains its original luster. This type of anomaly reflects the intricate mechanics of coin production, where timing, pressure, and alignment must perfectly coincide to achieve the intended result. When that delicate balance is slightly off, it can produce coins that are unique, unpredictable, and highly coveted. Adding to this extraordinary combination is evidence of potential die deterioration doubling on the coin's obverse. Die deterioration doubling, or DDD, occurs when repeated striking of coins gradually wears down the die, causing subtle overlapping images on the struck coin. In the 1998 Liberty Quarter, this doubling is visible in the fine lines of Liberty's portrait, particularly around the hair and facial contours. What makes this striking even more significant is that it was preserved in a coin of near pristine quality. Many coins with similar die issues may have circulated and worn down over the years, obscuring the doubling effect. The survival of this quarter with such clarity allows collectors to appreciate the error in unprecedented detail, making it a key example of rarity, condition, and historical interest all in one. The unique combination of the misaligned mint mark, weak strike, and potential die deterioration doubling places this coin in a category that few modern coins ever reach. In numismatics, a coin's value is not merely determined by age or metal content, but by the rarity of its anomalies, the historical context of its production, and the desirability among collectors. The 1998 Liberty Quarter exemplifies these principles. It is a modern coin, yet it carries the same mystique and collectible power often reserved for centuries-old coins. Imagine the excitement when a collector first identifies a coin with multiple anomalies occurring together. It is akin to discovering a hidden artifact with a story that spans decades, reflecting both chance and history. Consider the journey of this coin from the Denver Mint to the hands of collectors. Initially, it would have been minted alongside millions of other quarters, pressed and inspected with industrial precision. During its creation, however, the misaligned mint mark and die conditions occurred subtle deviations in the otherwise strict minting process. Following production, it would have been packaged and shipped through Federal Reserve channels, eventually arriving at banks, stores, or vending machines. For years, it may have passed unnoticed, used in everyday transactions just like any other quarter. Perhaps someone dropped it into a piggy bank, put it in a drawer, or saved it as part of a small change collection, unaware of the historical and monetary significance it contained. The ordinary, routine journey of a coin turns extraordinary when such anomalies exist, demonstrating that sometimes, the rarest treasures hide in the most mundane places. Over time, the coin's anomalies attracted the attention of collectors who specialize in error coins. Numismatists with sharp eyes and microscopes began to examine it closely, confirming the mint mark misalignment, weak strike, and subtle die deterioration doubling. Experts debated the significance of each anomaly, comparing it to other known errors from the same year and mint. The consensus was clear: while some errors are more common and predictable, the combination found in this single quarter was unprecedented. Its uniqueness immediately elevated it to legendary status within the collecting community, sparking discussions about its potential value. With no other known examples exhibiting all three major anomalies in combination, this coin effectively became one of a kind, which in the collector market is the ultimate driver of extraordinary valuation. The theoretical valuation of $403,000 million is not an official auction result but a speculative figure rooted in numismatic principles. Experts estimate that a coin with this level of rarity, historical significance, and condition could command nearly unlimited prices if it were ever offered to the highest bidder. The value is derived from the concept of scarcity and desirability. It is not tied to metal content but to the story, uniqueness, and the competitive passion of collectors who seek the rarest items. In history, modern coins with significant anomalies have fetched impressive sums at auction, and the 1998 D Liberty Quarter represents a modern example of this principle taken to an extreme. Its valuation is a reflection of what collectors are willing to pay when they recognize the extraordinary circumstances of the coin's production, survival, and discovery. The coin also provides a fascinating case study in minting history. The Denver Mint in the late 1990s was transitioning between mechanical processes, improving quality control measures while still utilizing older equipment for certain strikes. This transitional period is often where the most interesting anomalies appear. During the 1998 production run, slight misalignments, die wear, and subtle inconsistencies in planchet quality created conditions conducive to minting errors. This is precisely why the 1998 D Liberty Quarter exists, as it does an intersection of industrial imperfection and meticulous production. In a way, the coin embodies both the artistry and the mechanical nature of coin making, highlighting how even a system designed for perfection can produce surprising results. Collectors who study this coin are drawn not only to its rarity but to the stories it tells. Each anomaly represents a moment in time at the mint, a mechanical or human decision that left its mark on the coin. The weak strike indicates a die that may not have fully engaged the planchet, the misaligned mint mark shows a deviation from standard procedure, and the die deterioration doubling reflects the relentless repetition of minting millions of coins. Together, these features create a narrative of production, survival, and recognition that transforms the coin from a simple piece of currency into a tangible piece of history.